and welcome back to my YouTube channel, or welcome if you guys are new here. Today I'm going to be doing kind of a different video. You guys know I normally post more lifestyle content, but I've been so into reading recently. It's actually becoming kind of a problem for my bank account and no other reason. Since I'm fairly new into the thriller genre, I went to TikTok and I found the most highly rated, most popular thrillers of TikTok, and I read all of them. So I figured I'd review them and give you my honest opinion. Are they worth the hype? Would I recommend them? Also, if you guys have more suggestions, I would love to film a part 2 to this. If you have any thrillers that you read, that you enjoyed, or that are just super popular that everyone is talking about, please comment them down below and I will be buying them, I will be reading them, and I will be reviewing them for you guys. So without further ado, let's get into it. Also, if you guys haven't already, please drop a like in this video because it helps me out so much, and also subscribe if you haven't. Join the fam. The first book that I read this year, and it was actually the thriller that got me into reading thrillers, was called On a Quiet Street. My sister recommended it. My sister's really big into book talk, so she saw it on there and I've seen it recommended time and time again after I read it, so I figured I would include it in this list. She said this was a 5-star read that I had to read, and this book, when I tell you, it kept me up at night because I had to finish it. A trip to LA, I literally stayed up till 4 in the morning to finish this book because I was going to LA with like backpack only, so I didn't want to bring it with me on the carry-on and take up space. I literally sacrificed sleep the night before our flight to finish this book. It was so good, so addicting, and that's what got me into reading all these other books that followed it, so definitely check that out if you haven't. The next book that we have is Never Lie by Frida McFadden. If you guys have been on Book Talk, then you know everyone and their mom knows about this book. Everyone loves this book. Everyone raves about this book. Everyone is always recommending this to literally everyone in every single comment section. We know her, we all love her. Well, actually, I don't know, TikTok is kind of split up on her. I think she's like a really good writer for the sense of entertainment purposes. Like sometimes there might be plot holes, sometimes there's little things in the book that don't necessarily get answered or don't exactly make sense, but her books, one thing about Frida, she's gonna make them entertaining. So this was the first Frida McFadden book, and when I tell you, I was literally shocked, especially when I got to that one part. If you guys have read it, you know what part I'm talking about, the one freaking chapter where everything clicks into place. I was obsessed. I could not stop reading this. I read this so quick, and I definitely recommend. Immediately after I finished this, I went on Book Talk and I was like, Frida McFadden books, best books, ranked in order, which one do I read next? And I read through every single freaking comment that I could find, and everybody and their mom recommended this, and it was for good freaking reason. This is The Housemaid by Frida McFadden, the first book of a 3-part series. This shook me. I was not expecting it to take the turn that it did, but it did. And I was very happy with it. I read this so freaking fast. I rated this book 4 stars, I think, on my Goodreads. But everyone and their mom was saying to read the part 2 to this, and so I did. I actually think I like the second one more than I like the first one, which is crazy. But I read it on my Kindle. My boyfriend actually got me this Kindle for Valentine's Day. The Housemaid Secret is actually on here for free, so I read this and I loved it. I was skeptical of everybody, I was suspicious of everybody, and I love when books are like this, when I'm like afraid to trust everybody and everyone is sus, everyone is sketchy. Every chapter was like changing my mind about who's the good guy, who's the bad guy, and da 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 da. It was great. I read this in literally one day, absolutely loved it. Definitely check it out. You don't have to read the first one to read the second. They can both be read as like a standalone, but there's some nice references to the first one in the second one, so I got to appreciate that. Another book that I read was Local Woman Missing. This was also really highly rated on Book Talk, so obviously I had to pick it up. I love the colors, super fast paced. I love when you get like the perspectives from multiple characters. I just think that's really cool. There was a lot of like back and forth with back in time and present time, and I absolutely love that because I just find that it keeps the book super captivating, super engaging. I literally could not put this down. Definitely recommend this. The ending, the plot twist, absolutely shook me to my core. Definitely check this out. I loved it. Another book that I read, and I don't have the physical copy with me, was The Silent Patient. I loved it. I loved it for multiple reasons. Number one, I'm Greek and the author is Greek, and there's so many Greek references in there. Greek names and Greek analogies and Greek myths and everything like that. It's very well integrated. It doesn't feel like you need to take a freaking crash course in Greek mythology to understand it. But as a Greek person that was like born and raised in Greece, it just like, you know, kind of made me happy. You know, everyone loves to have their culture represented in media, so I thought that was really, really cool. But like all that aside, I really liked the plot. I did think that it was kind of slow moving, if you will. It did take me a while to get through it, but I really liked it. I thought it was very interesting. The plot twist was really interesting. I did not see that coming. I definitely recommend, and I cannot wait to read more of his stuff. After reading a couple of Frida McFadden books, I realized that I really liked them, and I really like thriller, and I was just starting out, so I didn't know what other authors I enjoyed, so I literally went on a Frida McFadden binge, and I read so many of her books. And it was a bonus point that she's a Kindle Unlimited author, so many of her books are literally free. The next book that I read was The Inmate, which a lot of people rated really highly. Not gonna lie, I would say I have mixed reviews for this. When I was reading it, I literally did not know who to trust. The main character kind of made me angry, not gonna lie. Sometimes her decision making, her inner monologue was just a little, you know, like, girl, what are you doing? The epilogue, oh my god, I was literally so shocked. One of the Frida McFadden great things is always the epilogue. There's always something in it. There's always a little plot twist, something that just like makes you freaking think back to something that was mentioned earlier in the book, and this is definitely one of those books where this happens. I think if you enjoy a lot of Frida McFadden books, you will probably enjoy this as well. It was not my top one, but I really enjoyed reading it, and I read it really fast. Another book that I read was As for Andrea. This is my first time reading any of this author's books, and I was literally so shocked. At this point, I don't even look at the synopsis for books anymore because I feel like sometimes they give too much away. I saw this on a book talk video when it was recommended among other books that I read and really enjoyed, so I was like, sure, give it to me, let's read it. So I went in literally blind. I did not read the synopsis. I didn't know what this book was going to be about, and let me tell you, I was shocked. I was expecting it to kind of be like other thrillers, but it is definitely not. It definitely has a different approach to it. I don't want to spoil it for you, even though you literally know what's happening from like the second chapter, but definitely read this. It literally tripped me out so much. I was like, wow, that is not what I was expecting, but I really liked it. I really liked the ending, so that's always good. The next book that I read was also by the same author as the one that wrote Ask for Andrea, because obviously I loved it so much, and I was like, what else does this author have? I need to read it right now. So I found this. It was also free on Kindle Unlimited, so I read it. This is Run on Red. This one freaking terrified me. Usually I feel like with the books that I've been reading so far, I don't really get like really scared. Like the story will be very captivating, and I'll be trying to figure out like who had done it, who's a suspicious person in the plot or anything like that. But usually I'm like, okay, I would not do this. I would not put myself in this sketchy situation. Especially Frida McFadden books, like at the beginning, they're always like, I have a bad feeling about this. And then obviously their bad feeling ends up being right every single time. Like me, I don't take no chances. Like if I ever get a bad feeling, I'm going home. Like I don't care. I'm canceling plans, turning around, calling the police. Not actually, but Lady's intuition is literally so strong, and I would never ignore it. So usually these books don't really freak me out because I'm like, great, it's entertaining and I wonder who's behind this whole thing, but it will probably never happen to me. But this book was literally so scary because I could identify with the main character. She was very high alert. She didn't do anything suspicious. She was always like watching her back and making the right choices, and she still ended up in a very sketchy, very scary situation. I was literally scared. Like I started reading this in the middle of the night, which probably my mistake, but I did not think it was gonna be as scary as it was. Literally right off the rip in like, I don't know, chapter 3 or 4, I was freaking terrified. I had to go through all my lights. So definitely check this out. Probably the scariest book that I read so far. Another book that I really enjoyed was The Perfect Sun by Frida McFadden. It was very trippy. It was very scary. It's giving like creepy child, the way that you would imagine. It was a plot twist, and I did not see the plot twist coming, so we always love that. It was a good read. It was entertaining. Another book that was really highly recommended on Book Talk that I read was The Perfect Marriage. That one was a bit of an interesting one because I liked it up until the end. Like I really liked the storyline. I really liked the premise of it. I thought it was really captivating and interesting, but I just didn't necessarily love the ending. I didn't really like the plot twist. I really don't know why people rate it so high. It just seems kind of silly because, well, I don't really want to get too much into it and spoil it for you guys in case anyone's reading it or in case anyone wants to read it. But like, if you know, you know. Like I literally feel like the ending didn't really make that much sense, you know. I don't know if I would recommend this to you guys. I mean, I guess if you want to read it, you can read it. It is very popular and a lot of people really like it. It just like wasn't really for me. Another book talk favorite that I read was The Teacher by Frida McFadden. Frida McFadden has TikTok on a freaking chokehold, I swear. But here I am taking everyone's suggestions as always and reading everything the people seem to like. But that one, it was a little iffy. It was kind of hard to read. Definitely look up trigger warnings if you're the type of person that wants to look up trigger warnings, because I was shocked It's like I could tell the direction that things are going in. I was like, surely we're not gonna take it there, but then it was taken there, and then I was just like, cringing so hard and very uncomfortable. I want to keep reading this. This is so uncomfortable. But yes, the ending was kind of good. The ending was kind of satisfying in the sense of the plot. I just don't know if it would justify all the awkward and uncomfortable feelings that I had reading like the first half of the book. There was a couple plot twists in there which were good and definitely interesting. But yeah, that being said, I don't know, I'm kind of on the fence about it. This video is getting kind of long, so I'm gonna end the video here. I definitely want to do a part 2 to this as I read more books. Also, please comment down below book suggestions, especially in the thriller genre, because I am obsessed and I will literally read anything. Like, whatever your favorite thriller is, like, comment it down below. Let me know if you've read any of the books that I mentioned. Let me know what you thought of it. Did you like them? Did you not like them? Do you agree with my opinion? I'm going way too quickly through my TBR because I literally read these books in a span of like a day or two. Definitely need more suggestions, so please comment your favorites down below. And also feel free to comment book related video ideas that you want me to film, because I'm just starting to dabble more into booktube and I would love to make more bookish related content. So definitely let me know what you guys want to see from me and I will be happy to film those videos. But yeah, that being said, make sure to follow my Instagram for updates on what I'm reading in real time. I also post book related TikToks, like reviews and everything like that whenever I finish reading a book. Definitely check that out. I'll link everything below. I'm also gonna link all of these books that I mentioned among some other ones that I've read and enjoyed on my Amazon storefront if you guys want to buy them for yourself, if you guys want to check them out. So definitely check that out below. And that's it for me. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!